Welcome. So today, we're going to break down how you can seriously slash your cloud costs. But here's the kicker, without sacrificing performance. If you're managing websites, especially on a platform like DevPanel, you are definitely going to want to stick around for this.
All right, let's just dive right in with a question that might hit a little close to home. Are you paying for servers to just sit there and do nothing? It's a way bigger issue than you might think. Most web apps, like the typical WordPress sites a lot of you are running, they only use about 10 to 30% of the server resources they're assigned on an average day. And that gap, that huge space between what you're paying for and what you're actually using, well, that is a major source of wasted money in your infrastructure budget. You're basically just leaving cash on the table every single month.
So the big question is, how do we stop this? How do we fix this cash bleed? Well, the answer is actually a really powerful and honestly an often overlooked feature that's at the very core of modern cloud tech, Kubernetes Resource Overcommit. Okay, so to really get how this works, you got to understand two key terms, requests and limits. Think of a request as your guarantee. It's the minimum amount of CPU and memory that your site is absolutely promised. Then you have a limit. That's your ceiling. It's the absolute maximum your site can burst up to if it gets a sudden rush of traffic.
Right? So this whole setup, where you have a guaranteed request and a higher limit for those just-in-case moments, creates what Kubernetes calls the burstable quality of service. It's kind of like having a reserved parking spot at the office, but you're also allowed to use any of the empty visitor spots if you have guests over. That flexibility? That's the secret sauce.
So here's the magic trick. Kubernetes decides where to place your sites based on their guaranteed requests, making sure they all fit perfectly on the server. But, and this is the important part, it allows the total sum of all the maximum limits to be way higher than what the server can physically handle. Why? Because it's making a smart bet that not all of your sites are going to need to burst to their absolute maximum at the exact same time.
Now let's get to the part everyone's been waiting for. What does this actually mean for your wallet? Because this is where things get really interesting.
Just look at this chart. It lays it all out. Without overcommit, maybe you can fit 40 sites on a server. Pretty standard. But with a 2x overcommit, that number jumps to 80. And if you push it to 3x overcommit, you're now running up to 120 sites on that exact same piece of hardware. You've literally just tripled your efficiency.
And that massive leap in density, it translates directly into real money. For an agency that's managing, say, 100 sites, we're talking about potential savings of around $2,000 a year. That's not small change. That goes right to your bottom line.
For all you agencies and freelancers out there, this is an absolute game changer. Hosting costs can easily eat up 20, 30, even 40% of your revenue from a client. With Overcommit, you can chop that number all the way down to a much more manageable 5 to 15%.
So you might be thinking, okay, if this is so great, why hasn't a platform like DevPanel been doing this all along? And that's a perfectly fair question. The answer really comes down to their own evolution and how the needs of their customers have changed over time.
See, it all goes back to their history. DevPanel was originally built for big enterprise clients. And these customers, they have super strict service level agreements, SLAs, that demand guaranteed, predictable performance, no matter what. For them, Overcommit just introduced a level of risk they couldn't take on. But today, the game has changed.
What's really driving this shift is the explosion of agencies and freelancers using the platform. These folks are managing huge portfolios of WordPress and Drupal sites that are naturally bursty. And for them, cost efficiency isn't just a nice little bonus. It is absolutely essential to their business model.
Okay, so the most important part is figuring out how this applies to your business. So let's break down the playbook, shall we?
Honestly, the best way to wrap your head around this is the classic airline analogy. Airlines sell more tickets than they have seats on the plane. They do it because decades of data tell them that a certain percentage of people just won't show up for the flight. It's the exact same logic here. We can safely pack more sites onto a server because we know it's statistically almost impossible that every single site will need to hit its max resource limit at the exact same instant.
So here's a simple breakdown based on who you are. If you're an agency, a moderate 2x overcommit can seriously boost your profit margins. If you're a freelancer juggling hundreds of smaller sites, a more aggressive 3x overcommit can be the thing that makes your business model truly profitable. And for those enterprise users, you can just stick with no overcommit and keep those ironclad performance guarantees. There's a model here that fits everyone's needs.
Now, this part is absolutely crucial.
DevPanel is rolling this out with a safety-first mindset. It's totally optional. You can turn it on for each cluster individually. It's got built-in protection, so one noisy neighbor site can't slow everyone else down. It works with smart autoscaling to handle surprise traffic spikes, and you get complete visibility with monitoring and alerts. The bottom line is, stability is never, ever compromised.
And all of this brings us to one final thought. Overcommit lets you finally, truly align your infrastructure spending with your actual, real-world usage. It means you're only paying for what you really need. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Is your infrastructure working as hard and as efficiently as you are? With Overcommit, the answer can finally be a resounding yes.